Yo, people, them, we're out here with the Nitro 16 entry level gaming laptop thing for the gaming massive. Let's see what this thing can do at the budget end of the gaming price scales. Now let's dive straight into specs real quick with this thing, because for the processor, we've got AMD flavor in this thing, a Ryzen 5 7535. You can get this same chassis though, Nitro 16, in an Intel version as well. For the screen now, you got a 16-inch 1080p maximum going on here, but you do also get 165Hz of refresh rate, so it ain't all that bad. You get an NVIDIA RTX 4050 minimum in this chassis as well, but if you're customizing the thing when you're first buying it, you can customize it all the way up to an NVIDIA RTX 4070 and obviously 4060 in between. Now, I'm getting 16 gigabytes of RAM in this model, 512 gigabytes of PCIe NVMe SSD, and again, with the SSD, you can go all the way up to 2 terabytes with this specific model. So we are at the low end of the gaming laptop spectrum, but we do get a lot of gaming laptop for the money, or so it seems. Now, on the left side for ports, we've got Ethernet cable, we got USB-A 3.2, we got micro SD card slot, so, you know, content creators, we're good to go really, and we got a combination 3.5mm headphone and microphone jack there. Now on the back, we got power port, HDMI, and we've got two USB-C 3.2 Gen 2s, which are both capable of display output as well. And on the right hand side, we got two little indicators, one for battery charging and one for, I don't know, what's that, USB charging or something. And you got two more USB-A ports here, and you got a little Kensington lock all the way at the back. Now, as for the keyboard, you get the RGB thing going on here. Let me just turn off the lights so you guys can see what I'm going. Yeah, the RGB is defo RGB, and it does look kind of nice actually. I'm not too mad at the keyboard itself. You even got a little number pad over here on the right hand side squeezed in there. Got nice even spacing in between the keys, and they do actually feel kind of nice to type on as well as doing your gaming. Mouse pad feels pretty bog standard, like I'm not mad at it and I'm not super excited by it either. So at the end of the day, for me, yeah, I guess it is what it is. Right, now this button right here is for your power mode. So if the thing is plugged out like it is now, it will go from balance mode to eco mode, and if it's plugged in, it will go from eco mode all the way through to balanced performance and turbo mode. So yeah, that's the gaming button there to get your performance. Now, just to quickly start off with the screen again, 16 inches, 16:10 aspect ratio. It gets okay, kind of bright. It's not the brightest screen. Look, I can make it a little bit brighter kind of thing. Can get a little bit darker. I wouldn't say it's the best screen for using outdoors in direct sunlight. Indoors, you're not going to have an issue at all. Color reproduction, yeah, it's okay. You know, playing a couple of 4K HDR videos on YouTube look alright, even though the screen only goes up to 1080p. I think in terms of gaming, you're going to get exactly what you need to be able to do some gaming. Like, no issue there whatsoever with games looking good. Now, normal web browsing performance on this thing seems pretty much okay. Like, I'm not stressed with it. Like, it seems to be doing everything it needs to do. It can play like 2 videos at a time. Man's got a 4K video on the left and on the right here. Can open up a new tab, go and, I don't know, scroll something. Let's just type in Acer real quickly. Go to the Acer website, have a look at what laptops they got. This is not even the Acer website. Man's gone on to some next thing. But yeah, you see what I'm saying, fam? Like, doing the whole multitasking thing on this little laptop is calm, fam. Even though it's not got a crazy mad super duper Ryzen chip in it kind of thing. It's just doing what it needs to do in terms of normal stuff, and that's more than what I'd expected from a laptop that was at the budget range. Alright, people, so first off, we're going to start with some Cult of the Lamb. I'm going to go to settings real quickly to show you that we are at 1080p because that's the maximum we can get. Oh, I'll do 1080p 16:10, so it's actually 1920 by 1200 instead of 1920 by 1080p. And we've got ultra settings, and that's what we're going to try and aim for all of these games, because obviously this is a 1080p card, the 4050. So yeah, let's jump in. Now, like I said, we'll start off with Cult of the Lamb because that's one of the easiest games to play. 1080p, 16 by 10, super ultra settings on everything. We're getting a strong 80 frames per second, a little bit higher, just a little bit lower. Game is perfectly playable. It looks wicked on this screen. I actually love 1080p. It looks good. On anything that's like 15 inch to 25 inch, 1080p looks wicked. I don't feel like I need any more than that. Also, as we're on Cult of the Lamb and we got a sick soundtrack in the background, let's do a little sound test of this laptop. Now, stepping it up a notch slightly in terms of graphical performance, we're heading over to Death's Door. Sick little kind of, I don't know, I call it a Zelda-like kind of thing, because you're doing adventure, you're doing hack and slash, you're doing all of that. 1080p, max settings, we're getting around 60 frames per second, sometimes 60 frames per second plus. We're getting 67 at the moment, but I have seen dips down to like 59, 57. Overall, it's definitely a much playable experience. And like I said, we're at max settings. We can easily dial some of those settings down to make sure that 60 frames per second is steady. Now, I'm sure many of you guys out there are feeling the same. I've been dragged back into Fallout 4 because of the new series that's just been released. And yeah, no, Fallout 4 is running pretty much alright. 1080p, ultra settings. The only thing is I think I've got VSync on and my frames per second reader is just stuck at 55. So yeah, it's definitely playable. Sometimes it's stuck at 50, sometimes it's stuck at 60. I don't know. It might be just an issue of the game being quite old kind of thing. But as far as I'm aware, yeah, 1080p, ultra settings, you're pretty much good to go. Now for something a bit more modern, Helldivers 2, when I'm doing 1080p, ultra settings, maxed out everything, it was running at 30 frames per second maximum, like literally dipping down to 26, 24 frames per second kind of thing. Not really playable. Now, as soon as man turned those settings down to medium, yeah, we was getting around the 50, 60, 65 frames per second mark kind of thing, which is a lot better. However, I noticed something that was really weird is that I kept getting a lot of dips. Like, it was going down to 40 frames per second, then back up to 60, sometimes 65, nearly 70, but then back down to 30. Really sporadic FPS. Not sure what was going on there, but maybe it needs a little update and patch on this card. Another game we gotta try out is Horizon Zero Dawn, one of the best looking games on PS4 and PS5, and it was a wicked PC port, as I always say. Now, I'm actually running it on battery power at the moment, 1080p, max settings, and we're getting a steady 30 frames per second. That is wicked. When I plugged it in, as if by magic, we start getting 60 frames per second. Yeah, this card, wow. 1080p, Horizon Zero Dawn, you know, AAA game for the PlayStation. Yeah, for me, that's mad. That's mad. Obviously, I got the DLSS on quality mode, but still, bro, like, that's a lot. That's a good card, fam. And just to top it off, we'll finish off on Ratchet and Clank. Fam, this game, you already know how I feel about this game in terms of the visual fidelity that Insomniac have managed to pull together, even on a PS5 console, let alone a PC. This game looks so sick on anything that it touches kind of thing. I'm doing 1080p, but I'm not doing max settings here because max settings was giving me a lot of choppiness and around 30 to 40 frames per second. I found that if I wanted to get above 60, then it had to be medium settings and DLSS on with quality mode enabled. And to be honest, I'm having a good time. I'm having a good time. I'm doing things, I'm slapping people, I'm shooting people with a pixelizer. This is exactly how Ratchet and Clank is meant to be played. You get me? Now, I doubt anyone getting this laptop is getting it to watch movies or Netflix, but obviously it's a laptop. You can do whatever you really want to do with it. The movies look cool. Remember, the screen is 16 by 10 though, so you might get little black bars on top and below the screen kind of thing, because, you know, most movies are shot in ultra wide. But apart from that, yeah, it looks pretty much decent, man. Pretty decent. Anyway, people, I think this is a decent little laptop from the guys at Acer. You got your USB 4 on the back there. So obviously any peripherals that are kind of Thunderbolt 4, you can plug them into the back on those USB-C ports and do your ting. Obviously you've got up to triple display support as well. That NVIDIA RTX 4050 is pretty much a beast for anything at 1080p. Even if you want to go to 2K and 4K, you could probably do that, but you're going to be looking at 30 to 40 frames per second if the game is proper challenging or proper 3D AAA kind of thing. Now, if it's a 2D game like Cult of the Lamb kind of thing or Death's Door, then you might be able to do the 2K and 4K thing at 60 frames per second. But yeah, like I said, any kind of complex game, you're not really going to get that 2K, 4K high frame rate performance from this NVIDIA RTX 4050. That said, it's definitely doing its job. And I'm not going to lie, at the budget side of things, 1080p performance on this is definitely nothing to sleep on. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next one.